everyone, Paul and Sam, welcome to part 3 of our Fujimi 1/16 Porsche 959 build. As always, before we get started today,
so make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you click the little bell notifications, get notified of all our latest videos, click the like button and leave a comment. I do read and reply to all the comments and appreciate everybody that takes the time to leave a comment on the channel. And of course, if you scroll up in the description, there's a link to a big long list of all the items I use in my videos, so if you see anything, you should be able to find it in there.
Already back with part 3. Yes, this is really steaming along. This is probably going to be uploaded on Monday. I hope it's not too soon for everybody, because we've had a part released on Thursday, Saturday and today. But it's motoring along really well, and like I say, I think we're going to be more than 5 parts, because I filmed the footage I had today. I thought they would do like half a part. I thought we'd get everything painted up, all the engine painted. Not a chance. Just to show everything in enough detail that it makes sense, we end up with a half-hour video. So it's getting released like this. I hope it's not too much. Give me any feedback you've got about it. If you think too many parts, you've released them too quick, let me know and I'll slow down a bit. But I'm really enjoying the build, to be honest. So much so I'm looking for another 16 scale. I've got my eye on one. So hopefully we can pick that up as well. Maybe have a build of that at a later date. So today we are going to concentrate on cleaning up all our running gear. We're going to dechrome our kit wheels. We're going to get all the engine together, get all the engine, subframe, basically the whole rear end of the car underneath ready for primer, get it primed up, ready for paint. Like I say, we're going to dechrome the wheels, we're going to prime the wheels, paint the wheels, clear coat them, and that's about it today. That's all we're going to get through. So there's a lot of cleanup on the engine. It took forever. It was quite time consuming and energy sapping as well. Did it over a few nights, and yeah, we got there in the end, but there's a lot of cleanup, a lot of seam work to do. And because it's such a prominent part, I think it's important to spend the time doing. So there we are. So we're going to jump straight in. I think we're going to start with dechroming the wheels. So sit tight, get a brew, put your feet up and have a watch.
Right then, straight in today with our wheels. We've got our cheap extra thick bleach and our kit chromed rims. Now my bottle was running out a little bit, so it did take a bit of persuasion to get it out, but it literally takes the time I put this on top for the chrome to dissolve. You can see now they are chromed right now. It just get hidden by the bottle for a minute or two. We're even a minute, a few seconds, whilst I'm just squeezing out the remnants, trying to get the wheels covered. And there we go, there's the last blobber bleach out. This is just cheap, generic, thick bleach. As you can see, in that space of 38 seconds, pretty much all that chrome will be gone. So yeah, sadly, we've hidden most of it with the bottle, but you saw them chrome and now they're black. That bottle is empty. And there we go, 99% of the chrome gone. We've spun them around the other way to make sure they get even coverage. Give them a little bit of a agitation in the bleach. And there we go. Nice, quick, simple and easy. Now, like I said in the previous video, the chrome on the kit isn't bad. Sadly, the wheels were marked. If they hadn't been marked, I would have probably left them alone. But with scratches on them, they looked a bit unsightly. So we're going to reprime, repaint and re-clear coat these and get them looking hopefully as good as, if not better, than they were out of the box. So there we go. They're then rinsed off with some water, brushed to remove any remnants of bleach and left to air dry. Meanwhile, we're on with our engine components, and then we're on over our running gear, gearbox, ancillaries, exhaust, loads and loads of parts to get cleaned up. So we'll just go through them all. We're not going to show everyone. We'll just pick a few important points. We've got a 400 customizable cutter size here, keeping a nice straight edge. We don't want to lose any definition of the edge. Once we're happy we've done that, hit it with one of our thinny buffers to get it all nice and smooth back up. And these are just all the sprue locator points where it's been cut off the sprue. Just checking around for any others. And again, repeat, carry on, finish once you're done. You'll know when they're all gone. And then we can look at the painting process and which way everything needs to be assembled and prepared for paint. We've got several different components, different parts of this engine, a different colour. Bit of a dry fit, test fit, yeah, that goes together okay. We've got our glues. So we're going to put a little bit of Tamiya Extra Thin mix in the locator holes, purely because it'll dry quick. Put the parts together, and then we'll hit it with our extra thin plastic weld mix all around the edge. Give it a bit of a clamp together, let it dry, job done. Like I said, there's several components on this that are going to be all painted different colours, but we're going to get them all prepped. Everything will be primed in UMP black, so that's not an issue. Once we get everything primed, we'll separate them into their various colours. So we're going to have metallic colours, semi-gloss colours, we're going to have red. I think there's a red on it. So there's a few colours to go on. So like I said, we'll get them all primed in UMP black primer first. Pick out our primary base colours then, and then pick out any detailed parts later on. And there we go. Make sure we've got even glue everywhere. There we go, get everything squeezed together. Thankfully, all these seams are covered by the other parts that are going to go on. So we don't need to really worry about cleaning them up or filling them or any other monotonous rubbish. So once we're happy with that, we'll have a quick test fit of this part. So there you go, as you can see, it fits on really well. Not too bad at all. We have to make sure that's centralised. Whether that should be seamless, I think it is on the real car, but we'll play that by ear. Just checking my sprue holders that we did for part 1 of the video, because this was filmed at the same time. And there we go. Once we're happy everything's lined up right, we can clamp it, leave it to one side to dry for a few hours, and crack on with the rest of our parts as well. So again, it's time taken, it's patience and perseverance will give you a better finish. All I'm doing now is using a glue brush to smooth off any molten plastic that squoze out, because it'll save sanding later on and it makes sure all the parts locate well. Once we're happy it's all glued, we'll chuck a load of clamps on, strategically placed modelling clamps and bulldog clips. Once we're happy with that, we'll put it to one side, let it dry, and we'll come back and look at it when it's all ready to be sanded. So, plenty of other parts to get on. Make sure you put your glue lids back on. It's so easy to knock them over. And again, I'm just checking parts from part 1. Like I say, these were all filmed together, so I'm doing all kinds of stuff at the same time. Now, this is the instructions for our engine layout. So, lots of different components to cut off, clean up, glue together, and paint. This is going to keep us busy. I don't know how many parts there are, but this took for absolute ever cleaning all these parts up. It really did take a long time. I think I did it over 3 evenings because I just got bored every time I started doing it. If I'm honest, there was a lot of cleanup. There's a lot of small parts and a lot of awkward areas to get into. So there's our engine. We glued together earlier. That is dry. Sorry, it's not our engine. Beg your pardon. That is our gearbox that we glued together off camera with our engine. So that's drying nicely, as is our exhaust as well. So they were literally assembled exactly like the engine, glued together, Tamiya Extra thinned, and then clamped, ready to dry. So we're going to move all these parts off and deal with them one at a time. Like I said, it's very boring. It took me probably about a couple of hours to clean all this up over a couple of nights, I'd say. And again, we've got our 220 sponge sander. Just clean it all up. I'm not going to show it all because it's immensely boring, but I'll just show you my quick way of doing it. So we get the 220 sponge sander on there. It doesn't conform, sorry, it conforms to the curves and doesn't flatten them. So we can get a nice sand on there without ruining the shape and contour of the parts. Give it a quick go over. So there's lots of little recesses to get, so we're going to use a combination of the thinning sponge and a customizable cutter size to get in here, and then we'll clean it all up at the end with our buffer. Then we need to mount everything ready in preparation for primer. So like I say, very laborious job. There's a lot of cleanup required. It just got mind-blowingly boring. So breaking up over a few nights was a good idea to do. And as you can see, I have multiple parts on the bench at the same time. And it keeps us going. It means we can put one part down while it dries and work on something else. And it also gives us plenty of footage, because I got 3 videos worth of footage off, well, what I'd normally get 1 out of. So it was good, really. So again, we've got our 400 customizable. Cut to a good size here. We don't need an absolute tiny one. Just getting in between all those parts. Not applying a lot of pressure, because these are rounded parts. We don't want to flatten them off. So not a lot of pressure. Just keep throwing the sander on the bench instead. And again, just take your time. Once you're happy that's done, we get a thinny sponge in there. Gives it a real nice clean up. Obviously that piece doesn't fit in there, so we've got another one cut to size. I've got about 6 pieces of the 400 cut to all different shapes and sizes and angles. So I know we can get in all those little recesses where required. They are very, very versatile sanders, and definitely one of my go-to sanders now. Of course, your butterfingers keep dropping stuff. So there we go. That's a lot of the parts cleaned up. Now, we've got a few parts like this that are recessed, ribbed like this, and they have a panel seam line right through the middle of them. So a little trick to do this is get some Tamiya Extra Thin on the brush and load it into the hole. And what this will do is melt the thinner seam, and by brushing it over, it will at the least lessen, at the most completely remove that seam. It's a very old trick. Don't know where I learned it, but I've learned it for a long, long time. And just take your time, just apply a little bit of Extra Thin, let it sit for a minute, or just keep working it like I am. And you'll just slowly see that seam line either disappear or soften. And it looks a lot better. You could get in there with a knife, but I always find it doesn't clean it up very well. It tends to make more of a mess than good. So it's not the best. So we've got a few components here. We do repeat it on this side. And again, handy little handy little trick for sorting out awkward parts. Okay, so all those engine parts are cleaned up and now mounted on cocktail sticks, as you can see on the left. We've also got our interior parts and our wheels. There's all the engine parts there. We've also got our engine compartment, our interior and luggage compartment all cleaned up and ready for primer. And our wheels are there that we stripped with chrome earlier. We've got our Apex, UMP Apex airbrush with a UMP black primer, 25 psi, the 0.35mm needle. And we're going to give this all a prime up. So we're going to prime everything in black. Now, I think on this interior, some of this will need to be the interior colour, so we may have to change the primer colour on this rear section I'm spraying right now. The front luggage compartment I'm planning to flock with either proper flock or my embossing powder. I'm going to do a little test later on today because I've now bought the matte enamel. It should look a lot better. If not, we'll be using the proper flocking powder, but for me it makes a flocking mess and I'll have to do it out my cave, because the last time I used it I was finding it in clear coats for months afterwards. So I do refuse to use it in here, and even when I did it out of the room I was still finding it in here off the build. So I'm very reluctant to use it because of the sheer mess. So I'm hoping the embossing powder will work as well as it usually does, because we need to do the luggage compartment and the passenger footwell that's shown here being primed right now. So they get a couple of coats of UMP primer. Like I say, once you get used to using this stuff, you know how far you can push it and just how wet you can get it down if you're having any issues. These parts are all degreased as well, which is one of the major points of making it easier to spray. If you get a fingerprint, you will see it a mile off. It's almost like a CSI moment. So it just shows you the natural oils and grease in your fingers do have a detrimental effect on paintwork. So again, preparation is key. Take your time, make sure everything's cleaned up right. Wheels, again, are going to get a couple of coats of primer. Give this a light dusting first, inside, well, on top and underneath. And like I say, everything's going to get 2 coats. And then we can focus on painting up the wheels and getting them clear coated as well. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of these wheels. To me, they are, well, they're part of the 959, so for me, they're fine. I don't mind them at all. They're not the worst wheels in the world. Not the nicest, but they'll do the job and they'll look the part once they're done. Now, on to all these parts we've got for our engine, subframe assembly for the rear. And again, a couple of coats of UMP black primer. Exactly the same as before, 25 psi, 0.35 UMP Apex airbrush. And we'll just do everything a coat over. On the engine and parts like this, you can have to make sure you get all those angles and recesses. As you can see, there are a lot of components to this. And this isn't even all finished yet. There's a load more to do at a later step. But for today, my main goal was to get all these parts primed, because this is the second and third page in the instruction book, I think. Might even be the first and second. So we're going to kind of go with the order. I work in sub-assemblies, and this is my first sub-assembly. And again, I'm not going to show everything being primed, just showing some of the bigger parts. Like I say, the more you use our primer, the more you'll get used to just how much you can get down without it starting to run or pool. But like I say, keeping it clean is the key. Keep any fingerprints off it, wipe them down. If you've been eating crisps or what have you, wipe your hands. Because trust me, the grease and dirt and what have you, your fingernails has a detrimental effect to the primer. It really does. So again, making sure we get all those angles, get everything covered, we'll work around the whole lot, come back, and this is at the end of our second coat. So as you can see, great coverage. On your second and third coat, if you do a third, you can put on a bit more paint because you've already got that base coating of the primer for it to stick to. And there we go, there's all the interior parts done, our wheels are done, and all the engine components are done as well. So happy days. So, got cleaning airbrush, use some UMP airbrush cleaner in there, we'll give it a rinse out, backflow it, get the brush in. If you're looking for an airbrush cleaning video, I do have one back in the channel, go through the playlist and you will find it. Now, wheel colour. Now, as you can see, I have plenty of spoons. I have base colours and I have metallic colours, and these are all metallic. I was looking through colours for the wheels thinking, should I just go silver? Should I do a champagne gold? Should we go titanium? I kind of already picked my paint colour out. It's to the right of my hand over there. But I'm just having a little look through. Not too shiny, not too hot, too hard, too soft. Ooh, too much sugar. Just like Goldilocks. So, yeah. I'm looking through thinking, no, these colours aren't really doing it for me. I did think about that colour that's on the left hand. There's like a gold champagne colour. But I think going with the standard silver colour I'm going to pick is the better call for this car. I think it's going to look better. And just having a look through. These are very, very handy reference. If you're just testing the paint for the first time, spray it. Let it dry, keep it, and you end up with a multitude of them like this, and they are a great reference. You can see all the different shades and colours there, from various manufacturers and different shades of colours. Very, very handy reference. Like I say, I've got quite a lot of these in base colours, reds, blues, and what have you. So again, I can compare the colours. They're a great reference. They don't take up a massive amount of space either. So they are very, very handy. Plus, if you eat cereal and you forget your spoon, you've always got one to hand. You can pick up cheap spoons on Amazon really easily. I think you get about 100 for £5, and they're great for this job. Just degrease them, prime them up, spray your base colour on, and clear coat them if you want as well. You can use the clear coat I'm going to use at the end to give them a clear coat, because colour just does change under a clear coat. So it's well worth putting one down if you're not 100% sure. But there you go, there's all those out the way. Very, very handy reference. So, the colour I've picked is Tamiya LP72 Mica Silver. So, I've used this, I think I used this on the Ferrari. The F12 we did a week or so ago. It's a nice colour. I know what the colour looks like as I've seen the wheels. So this is what we're going to go with. So we're going to give it a mix up with the old Badger paint mixer. All paints benefit from being mixed like this, especially the metallics. They're highly pigmented, highly metallic pigmented as well. So well worth giving them a little bit of a buzz round, a little bit of stir on the bottom of the pot. And then what we'll do, we'll mix in some Tamiya lacquer thinner. We're going to go with the non-retarder standard lacquer thinner. Because we want us to dry a bit quicker. We don't want it to, doesn't need its leveling abilities. And we're going to thin it about 60%. So 60% thinner, 40% paint. You'll have to work out your ratios to figure that out. As you see, you get great reaction in the paint off the thinner. We've got our Ultimate Apex. This is our 0.2mm needle now. We're about 18 psi. And we're going to give our wheels about 3 coats of this paint. As you'll see, cover is absolutely fantastic. And it really looks the part once done. Now right now, I've forgotten to stir that paint. Because I normally do it straight away. And just as I pick the airbrush up, I think, oh, hang on. We should adjust that light. And, oh yeah, I didn't stir the paint. Yep, I didn't. I could tell by the reaction on top. So again, a quick little blast with the old Badger paint mixer. And there we go, job done. Wipe it off. Always give your tip a wipe. And there we go. Away we go. So like I say, 0.2mm. I prefer for the metallics. No particular reason, just personal preference. 18 psi, we don't need high pressure with the lacquers. And we're just going to mist on a coat. And then work on our angles. As you can see, look at coverage. Absolutely instant. They are fantastic paints. Real big fan of the Tamiya OPs. They are certainly my go-to everyday paints. So there we go. A lot of coverage off one light coat. That's a light coat to me. If you're in doubt, really dust it on, take your time. These are not like TS sprays. I find these do not like to go on as wet. And again, the more you use them, the more you know how far you can push them. And that for me is enough on one coat. Second coat now. We'll come back, we're halfway through the paint. You can see how well that colour's looking already. It's looking really pretty. And again, we're getting every angle, we're getting all the edge, because you don't want to put the tyre on. And you can see the black underneath, or the primer underneath, so we spray everywhere. Get all evenly covered from inside and out, top and underneath. And there we go, beautiful, beautiful colour. Just give them one final go over. So I guess that's 2.5 coats really. Looking for any flaws or bits of mist or anywhere that's not quite got the colour properly. And there we go. Right, now we're going to clear coat them. We've got some Mr. Super Clear UV cut from Mr. Hobby. This is where I clear coated the Ferrari at 12 wheels in. We've got some decanted into a Tamiya pot and thinned with Mr. Hobby level and thinner. Only a drop, about 20% in there. And these are our wheels we painted the evening before. As you can see, we've got a very nice metallic finish on these. Now the instructions call for those centre caps to be black. And I've looked online, and the car I picked for the colour doesn't have. They are all silver. I did contemplate putting a wash in there. Looking at the real car, they just look silver. There's no real shadows or anything in there. So I decided to leave them as B. So these have been drying overnight, a good 12 hours. We've got our Mr. Hobby UV cut clear in here. I'm just going to mist on from a distance, not a massive distance, just a bit of a distance, what we would kind of class as a tack coat. Now, it's kind of a bit like being sprayed like 2K clear, sorry. But whereas really that's 10 minutes, this dries really, really fast in the air because we're not putting it on a stick. And we're not necessarily using that tack coat to stop the paint running. We're using it like the primer, where we're just trying to get a base coat down so we can put it on wet. That might not make sense, it does to me. So whilst it's not necessarily a tack coat, I'm just trying to get a first coat down, like so. So again, pay attention to all your angles underneath as well. The skewers are great for spinning, as you can see. Once we've got a light coat on, we'll put it to one side. As you see, already got a nice sheen on there already. Second coat. Again, just give them a Slightly heavier go over this time. And again, as always, pay attention to those angles and recesses. Make sure we get it all in there. And then we'll leave it for another 5 minutes. And we come back for a final coat where we're going to put it on quite heavy now. Now if you've got decals down, you may have to do several light coats. Excuse my compressor. You may have to do several light coats. Just build it up. You can get a wet coat on at the end. And all you want, same with 2K, is a nice even shine. Don't want any orange peel in there or any ripples. It should be nice and smooth. It'll self-level, but we also don't want it to run as well. So it is a fine line again. Use the light to your advantage. Give everything a spray. And there we go. Once these have been left to dry for a couple of days, we can assemble our wheels and have a look with our tyres on. I currently have the kit decals under a UV 20-watt lamp, and they look to be unyellowing. And Sajash very kindly sent me some very nice Porsche logos for the front. And there we go. That's them already. We'll put those to one side to dry and come back in part 4.
There we go then. I think I chose the wheel colour well. I think it's going to suit the car. Once the clear coat is dried, it's going to give a nice offset between the really high shine of the 2K of the body and the wheels, just how it should be. I did contemplate in 2K in them, and I thought it's going to look too much. We'll go with the UV Supercut Clear, which works brilliant on parts like this. We'll give them a few coats, and I think they'll come out really, really well. So yeah, there we go, part 3 already. Like I say, if I'm getting through the parts too quick, or if I'm boring you, let me know. I do try my best not to, but it's hard to judge what is enough that I'm showing, because I don't want to show every part being painted and every part being cleaned up, but I need to show it in a respect to A, add content, B, advertising for UMP, because that's what I'm here for as well, and C, to make sure you know out there exactly what I'm doing, rather than just going, here's the box, that's done, this is painted, see ya. I do like to try and show stuff as we go, so hopefully it's making sense. And I don't think the videos will be every couple of days. It's just literally this first lot of footage. 1 and 2, I thought there'd be one video, and then there'd be this. So I planned to get that one done, and this will be mid next week, but it didn't work out like that. It spread out onto 3. So they will be regular. I just don't know how regular. Like I say, give me some feedback in the chat. If I'm doing it too quick, let me know. But hopefully I've shown enough today to show the interior, the running gear being cleaned up and primed. And like I say, in part 4, we'll get all that painted, detail painted, assembled. Hopefully a little bit of, yeah, hopefully we get it pretty much, yeah, buttoned up, covered and done next time. Get all that rear end done. And then we can move on to the interior. And we've got all the brakes and what have you to do. So still lots to do. I'm thinking we're going to be about 8 parts now. Personally, looking at the way this is going, it's a big kit. It is a really big kit. But it's not the end of the world. I'm trying to keep them to half an hour as well. I think 45 minutes is just pushing it a bit, and an hour's way too long. So, going to try and keep to 30 minutes. There'll be more of them, but it'll be the same content, just in different videos. So there we go. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for all the past feedback as well on the videos. Already, video number 1's got loads of constructive feedback on it. Hopefully the second one, which gets uploaded on Saturday, does too, and this one I'm hoping will go up Monday morning as well. So there we are. As always, check out its International Scale Modeler Facebook page and forum, umpretail.com, where you can get a lot of the products I use in my videos. There's also a list in the description of all the products I use. Click it, it takes you a huge long list of everything I use, with links for most of them in there. As always, if you've got any comments or questions, pop them in the chat down below, and I'll try and answer them as and when I can. And check out the Live the Bench page and the Off Air Hangout group to come and watch us on a Friday, Wednesday and a Sunday. And join our Off Air Hangouts if you wish to. And check out my Paul ISM Facebook and Instagram page as well. Thanks for watching today. I will catch you all later. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.